Ladies and gentlemen, life is chaotic, life is unpredictable, and if you're not careful, your own mind will become your worst enemy. You sit there paralyzed, running the same thoughts over and over, dissecting every possibility, every failure, every fear, until you've built yourself a prison of hesitation. But let me tell you something, that is not the path forward. That is not the way to build yourself into the person you could be, because the world doesn't care about your overthinking. The world responds to action, to discipline, to the courage of taking responsibility for what is within your control and letting go of the rest. So today, let's talk about clarity. Let's talk about focus. Let's talk about reclaiming your energy from the spiral of overanalysis and directing it towards something meaningful. Because the way out of your mental fog is not more thinking, it's choosing deliberately, forcefully to act. Overthinking is a mental trap that many people fall into without even realizing it. It starts as a simple concern, a minor thought about something that might happen, something that went wrong, or something that needs to be done. But instead of addressing the issue logically and moving forward, the mind begins to spiral. One thought leads to another, then another, and soon an entire web of anxiety, doubt, and hesitation takes over. What was once a small concern turns into a towering mental obstacle. The worst part is that overthinking rarely leads to any real solutions. It only creates stress, confusion, and inaction. The mind is designed to problem solve, but when it becomes trapped in an endless loop of analysis, it ceases to function effectively. Instead of finding clarity, you drown in possibilities, hypothetical scenarios, and worst-case outcomes. The more you overthink, the harder it becomes to act. And the longer you stay stuck in that cycle, the more you reinforce the habit of hesitation. Over time, this erodes confidence, weakens decision-making skills, and creates a mindset dominated by fear rather than action. Overthinking often disguises itself as preparation. People tell themselves they are just being careful, weighing their options, making sure they don't make a mistake. But what they are really doing is avoiding risk, avoiding responsibility, and avoiding the discomfort that comes with stepping into the unknown. The truth is, no amount of thinking can eliminate uncertainty. The world is unpredictable. You will never have all the answers. You will never be able to account for every possible outcome, and that's okay. Action, not endless deliberation, is what moves life forward. Fear plays a major role in overthinking. Fear of failure, fear of making the wrong choice, fear of judgment. When the mind is overwhelmed with fear, it seeks control. It convinces itself that if it just thinks long enough, hard enough, and deeply enough, it will find the perfect answer. But perfection is an illusion. No decision is ever without risk, and no path is ever completely clear. Waiting for certainty before taking action is the fastest way to remain stuck. One of the most damaging effects of overthinking is that it robs people of the present moment. Instead of being engaged in life, they are trapped in their own heads, analyzing past mistakes or worrying about future problems. This creates stress, drains energy, and prevents people from fully experiencing what is happening around them. The mind is so busy trying to anticipate what might happen that it completely misses what is actually happening. Another dangerous aspect of overthinking is that it creates imaginary problems. The mind starts constructing scenarios that may never come to pass. A person might worry about a conversation they had last week, replaying it over and over, analyzing every word, wondering if they said the wrong thing. Or they may stress about a meeting that hasn't even happened yet, imagining worst-case scenarios and negative outcomes. The reality is, most of these fears are exaggerated or entirely baseless. But when the mind fixates on them, they feel real. And when something feels real, it influences emotions, behaviors, and decisions. People who overthink often find themselves exhausted, not because they are physically active, but because their minds are in a constant state of overdrive. Mental fatigue sets in, making it even harder to think clearly and make decisions. It becomes a vicious cycle. Overthinking causes exhaustion. Exhaustion makes it harder to make decisions. And the inability to make decisions leads to more overthinking. Breaking free from overthinking requires awareness. It starts with recognizing when the mind is spiraling. Often people don't even realize they are caught in an overthinking loop until they are deep inside it. They confuse analysis with productivity, forgetting that real progress comes from doing, not just thinking. Developing the ability to step back, recognize the pattern, and shift focus to action is a skill that must be cultivated. One of the most effective ways to counter overthinking is to set time limits on decision making. Instead of endlessly debating every possible option, give yourself a specific amount of time to consider the choices, then commit to a decision. This prevents the mind from slipping into endless analysis and forces action. Even if the decision isn't perfect, moving forward is always better than remaining stuck in indecision. Another strategy is to limit the amount of information consumed before making a decision. In today's world, people have access to an overwhelming amount of information, and this often fuels overthinking. They read endless articles, watch countless videos, and seek out multiple opinions, all in an attempt to make the right choice. But more information doesn't always lead to better decisions. It often leads to more confusion. Learning to trust one's own judgment and act with the information at hand is a skill that separates those who get things done from those who remain stuck in thought. Perfectionism is another major driver of overthinking. Many people hesitate to act because they fear making mistakes. They want every decision to be flawless, every action to be calculated, every outcome to be certain. But perfectionism is just another form of fear. It prevents growth, stifles creativity, and leads to missed opportunities. Mistakes are an inevitable part of progress. Learning to embrace them rather than fear them is crucial for breaking free from the cycle of overanalysis. Taking action, no matter how small, is the antidote to overthinking. Even the smallest step forward disrupts the loop of hesitation and creates momentum. The mind thrives on patterns, and if hesitation becomes the dominant pattern, it will continue indefinitely. But when action becomes the default response, overthinking loses its power. Life is filled with uncertainty, and the more a person tries to control everything, the more overwhelmed they become. There is a fundamental distinction between what can be controlled and what cannot. Many people waste enormous amounts of time and energy trying to change circumstances that are completely beyond their influence, which leads to frustration, stress, and a sense of helplessness. They worry about other people's opinions, external events, or unpredictable outcomes, all while neglecting the one thing they have full authority over, their own actions, mindset, and decisions. Understanding this distinction is one of the most liberating realizations a person can have. Yeah. When people focus on the uncontrollable, they set themselves up for a life dominated by anxiety and disappointment. The world is chaotic, and no amount of overthinking, worrying, or planning will ever provide total control. There will always be unexpected challenges, unfair situations, and circumstances that do not go according to plan. Trying to force reality into an idealized version of what it should be is an impossible task that leads only to frustration. However, when people shift their attention to what is within their power, they regain agency over their lives. Many people develop the habit of blaming external circumstances for their struggles. They point to their upbringing, the economy, other people's actions, or sheer bad luck as the reasons why they are stuck. While external forces do play a role, focusing on them does nothing to change one's situation. Complaining about the past does not alter it. Wishing for different circumstances does not make them so. The only productive course of action is to take ownership of the things that are within reach. This requires a shift in perspective from being a passive observer to an active participant in one's own life. Thoughts have a direct impact on emotions, and emotions influence behavior. When people dwell on what they cannot control, they experience feelings of powerlessness and frustration. This mental state leads to inaction and reinforces the belief that their situation is unchangeable. But when they direct their energy toward what they can control, their habits, discipline, and responses, they cultivate a sense of empowerment. Even in the most difficult circumstances, there are always choices to be made. These choices may not be easy, but they are always available. One of the most common ways people surrender their control is by obsessing over the opinions and actions of others. They seek validation, worry about criticism, and shape their decisions based on what they think will earn approval. This is an exhausting way to live. Other people's opinions are outside of one's control. No matter how carefully someone tries to manage their image, there will always be misunderstandings, judgments, and critics. Allowing external validation to dictate behavior is a guaranteed way to feel constantly uncertain and insecure. The alternative is to develop an internal standard, one based on personal values, integrity, and self-respect. Emotions, too, are within one's control. Many people believe they are at the mercy of their feelings, reacting impulsively to every emotion that arises. But emotions are not commands. They are signals. They provide information, but it is up to the individual to decide how to respond. Learning to regulate emotions is a skill that can be developed. It requires recognizing emotional triggers, pausing before reacting, and choosing a response that aligns with long-term goals rather than short-term impulses. This ability to manage emotions separates those who are controlled by circumstances from those who navigate life with purpose and intention. Time is another factor that is fully within one's control. While it is true that no one can slow down or speed up time itself, how it is spent is a personal decision. Many people claim they do not have time to pursue their goals, develop skills, or improve their lives, yet they spend hours scrolling through social media, engaging in pointless debates, or indulging in distractions. Every person has the same 24 hours in a day. The difference lies in how those hours are allocated. Prioritization is a choice. Eliminate distractions is a choice. Using time effectively is a choice. Those who take control of their time take control of their future. Another major source of unnecessary stress is worrying about future events that have not yet happened. People imagine worst-case scenarios, stress about things that might go wrong, and waste mental energy preparing for disasters that may never come. While planning for the future is important, excessive worry is not productive. The future is unpredictable, no matter how much effort is put into trying to control it. The most effective way to prepare for the future is to take consistent action in the present. Small daily efforts build resilience and adaptability, which are far more valuable than endless worry. Expectations also play a role in how much control people feel they have over their lives. Unrealistic expectations, whether about other people, career success, or life circumstances, lead to frustration. Many people expect fairness, easy progress, and immediate results. When reality does not align with these expectations, they feel disappointed and disillusioned. But the world does not operate according to personal expectations. The sooner a person accepts this, the more effective they become. Instead of expecting things to be easy, they can prepare to meet challenges. Instead of expecting others to always act a certain way, they can focus on their own actions. The key is to let go of entitlement and embrace responsibility. One of the most effective ways to strengthen control over life is through disciplined action. Discipline is the ability to act consistently regardless of how one feels in the moment. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline ensures progress. It is the foundation of success in any area, whether it is health, relationships, career, or personal growth. The disciplined individual does not wait for inspiration to strike. They set goals, create systems, and follow through even when it is inconvenient. By mastering discipline, a person gains control over their habits, their progress, and ultimately, their future. Taking responsibility for one's actions is one of the most powerful steps a person can take toward personal growth and success. Many people go through life blaming their circumstances, other people, or even luck for where they are. While external factors do play a role, the reality is that the only way to truly move forward is to take full ownership of one's decisions, behaviors, and mindset. When people shift from a mindset of blame to one of responsibility, they regain control over their lives. Instead of waiting for things to change, they become the ones who create change. Personal responsibility means accepting that every action has consequences. The way a person chooses to think, speak, and behave directly impacts their life. Many people avoid taking responsibility because it is uncomfortable. It is easier to believe that failure is the result of external forces rather than personal choices. But the truth is that avoiding responsibility only prolongs suffering. The sooner a person acknowledges their role in shaping their own life, the sooner they can make real progress. Growth is impossible without accountability. Those who refuse to take responsibility remain stuck, repeating the same patterns, making the same mistakes, and wondering why nothing changes. Excuses are one of the biggest barriers to responsibility. People tell themselves they are too busy, too tired, too unlucky, or that the timing isn't right. They justify inaction with reasons that seem logical, but are actually just avoidance. Every time an excuse is made, it reinforces the idea that success and progress are dependent on external conditions rather than personal effort. But no one ever achieved anything meaningful by waiting for the perfect circumstances. Those who succeed do so because they take action despite difficulties, not because they had an easy path. Responsibility means recognizing that no excuse is valid enough to justify staying stuck. Taking responsibility also means owning mistakes. No one is perfect, and everyone makes errors in judgment. The difference between those who grow and those who don't is how they respond to their mistakes. Many people try to shift blame, deny wrongdoing, or make justifications for their failures. This may provide temporary comfort, but it does nothing to create long-term improvement. True growth comes from acknowledging when something was done wrong, learning from it, and making the necessary adjustments to avoid repeating the same mistake. Owning mistakes builds character, strengthens resilience, and fosters genuine self-improvement. Another important aspect of responsibility is taking control of emotions and reactions. Many people believe that their emotions control them. That anger, frustration, or sadness are forces that dictate their behavior. But emotions are not uncontrollable. They are responses that can be managed. Taking responsibility means recognizing that how one reacts to situations is a choice. No one else is responsible for an individual's emotions. Blaming others for anger, frustration, or disappointment only gives away power. When a person learns to regulate emotions, they gain the ability to respond to challenges with clarity rather than impulse. Emotional maturity is a fundamental part of personal responsibility. Many people struggle with responsibility because they fear failure. They believe that if they take full ownership of their choices, they will have to confront their shortcomings. But failure is not something to be feared. It is something to be embraced as part of growth. Those who take responsibility understand that failure is not the end, it is feedback. Every setback provides valuable lessons that help refine skills, strengthen character, and build resilience. Avoiding responsibility out of fear of failure only ensures that no progress is made. The most successful people are not those who never fail, but those who fail, learn, and continue moving forward. Taking responsibility also extends to relationships. Many people fall into the trap of blaming others for conflicts, misunderstandings, or emotional pain. They believe that their happiness depends on how others treat them, and they expect others to change before they can feel satisfied. But true personal growth comes from recognizing that one's own reactions, expectations, and communication play a major role in relationships. Instead of blaming others for disappointments, responsible individuals examine their own role in the dynamic. They focus on improving their own communication, setting clear boundaries, and taking proactive steps to strengthen connections. This approach leads to healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Discipline is a key component of responsibility. Many people want to achieve success, develop good habits, or improve their lives, but they struggle to follow through. They rely on motivation, which is fleeting and unreliable. Responsibility means understanding that motivation is not the key to success. Discipline is the ability to take action regardless of how one feels in the moment. It is about doing what needs to be done, even when it is inconvenient or uncomfortable. Those who take responsibility for their progress do not wait for the right mood or ideal circumstances. They commit to consistent effort and follow through on their goals. Another major aspect of responsibility is financial accountability. Many people struggle financially not because of external circumstances, but because of poor decision making. Instead of budgeting, saving, and making wise financial choices, they spend impulsively and then blame the economy, their job, or bad luck for their struggles. Taking responsibility for financial well-being means making intentional choices about spending, investing in personal development, and planning for the future. It requires discipline and the willingness to make sacrifices in the short term for long-term stability. Financial independence is not just about how much money is earned, it is about how wisely it is managed. One of the most powerful effects of taking responsibility is the shift in mindset it creates. People who take responsibility stop seeing themselves as victims of circumstance. They no longer believe that life is something that happens to them. Instead, they see life as something they actively shape. This mindset shift transforms the way challenges are approached. Instead of feeling helpless, responsible individuals focus on solutions. Instead of waiting for opportunities, they create them. Instead of blaming others, they focus on what they can do to improve. Responsibility leads to empowerment, and empowerment leads to real, lasting change. Setting clear goals and executing them is essential for creating a life of purpose and achievement. Many people go through life without a clear direction, reacting to circumstances rather than shaping them. Without a defined goal, it is easy to become distracted, lose motivation, and feel overwhelmed by endless possibilities. When there is no target to aim for, energy becomes scattered and progress is inconsistent. Clear goals provide focus, ensuring that time and effort are spent on what truly matters. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with execution is that their goals are vague. They might say they want to be successful, get in shape, or improve their lives, but these statements are too broad to create real momentum. Goals need to be specific and measurable. A person who sets a goal to lose weight, for example, will find more success if they define exactly how much weight they want to lose and by what date. The more precise the goal, the easier it becomes to create a plan of action. Without specificity, there is no way to track progress or determine whether the goal has been achieved. Another crucial aspect of goal setting is ensuring that goals are realistic but challenging. If a goal is too easy, it will not inspire growth. If it is too difficult, it can lead to discouragement and a sense of failure. The key is to find a balance, setting goals that push limits but remain achievable with effort and commitment. A challenging goal forces a person to develop discipline, problem-solving skills, and perseverance. It encourages learning and adaptation, which are essential for long-term success. Once a goal is set, the next step is execution. Many people fail to achieve their goals, not because they lack ambition, but because they lack a concrete plan. It is not enough to simply declare an intention. Without a structured approach, goals remain nothing more than wishes. Breaking a goal into small, manageable steps makes execution more effective. Each step should have a deadline and a clear action attached to it. When goals are broken down, they become less overwhelming and easier to tackle. Execution also requires consistency. Many people start with enthusiasm but lose momentum when challenges arise. Discipline is what separates those who achieve their goals from those who give up. It is easy to take action when motivation is high, but true progress comes from showing up even when motivation fades. This is why habits play a crucial role in execution. When goal-related actions become part of a daily routine, they require less effort and willpower. Over time, consistency leads to significant progress. One of the most common barriers to execution is procrastination. Many people delay taking action because they feel unprepared, afraid of failure, or overwhelmed by the work required. They convince themselves that they need more time, more knowledge, or a better opportunity before they can begin. But waiting for the perfect moment is a trap. There is never a perfect time to start, and progress does not happen through endless planning. The best way to overcome procrastination is to take immediate action, no matter how small. Even a minor step forward builds momentum and makes the next step easier. Fear is another major obstacle to execution. Many people hesitate to pursue their goals because they fear failure, criticism, or uncertainty. They worry about what others will think if they do not succeed. This fear creates hesitation, leading to missed opportunities and unfulfilled potential. The only way to overcome fear is to act despite it. Taking action builds confidence, proving that failure is not the end but a stepping stone to growth. Every setback provides valuable lessons that refine skills and improve strategies. Those who achieve success are not those who avoid failure, but those who learn from it and keep moving forward. Accountability plays a key role in execution. When goals are kept private, it is easy to abandon them without consequence. But when there is external accountability, whether through a mentor, a friend, or a structured system, there is a greater sense of responsibility. Sharing goals with someone who will check in on progress creates a psychological commitment. Knowing that someone else is aware of the goal increases the likelihood of follow-through. Another important factor in execution is adaptability. No plan unfolds perfectly, and unexpected challenges will always arise. Many people give up on their goals when they encounter obstacles because they assume setbacks mean failure. But setbacks are a natural part of any process. The key is to adjust strategies rather than abandon the goal. Flexibility allows a person to find alternative solutions and continue progressing even when conditions change. Those who succeed are not those who avoid obstacles, but those who navigate them with resilience. The environment also has a significant impact on execution. Many people struggle to stay focused because they surround themselves with distractions or negative influences. A person's surroundings shape their habits, mindset, and productivity. Creating an environment that supports goal achievement increases the chances of success. This can mean eliminating distractions, associating with motivated individuals, and structuring daily routines to prioritize productivity. Small changes in the environment can have a powerful effect on behavior and consistency. Tracking progress is essential for maintaining motivation. Many people lose interest in their goals because they do not see immediate results. However, progress is often gradual and requires patience. Keeping a record of achievements, no matter how small, reinforces commitment and provides motivation to keep going. Celebrating small victories along the way builds confidence and reinforces the belief that the goal is achievable. A lack of visible progress can be discouraging, but consistent tracking reveals improvement over time. Many people fall into the trap of setting too many goals at once. Spreading focus too thin makes execution more difficult because attention is divided. The most effective way to achieve success is to prioritize one or two key goals at a time. Once progress is made in one area, it becomes easier to take on additional goals. Prioritization prevents burnout and increases the chances of follow-through. Commitment to execution also requires a strong sense of purpose. People who set goals simply because they feel they should often struggle with motivation. Goals that are deeply connected to personal values and long-term aspirations create a stronger sense of drive. When a goal has meaning, it becomes easier to stay committed even when challenges arise. Clarity of purpose fuels persistence, making it easier to push through obstacles and stay focused on the bigger picture. Discipline is one of the most critical factors in achieving success and personal growth. Many people believe that motivation is the key to accomplishing goals, but motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes depending on emotions, circumstances, and energy levels. Relying on motivation alone leads to inconsistency, and inconsistency leads to failure. Discipline, on the other hand, is a constant. It is the ability to do what needs to be done regardless of feelings, external conditions, or distractions or distraction. Those who develop discipline create a foundation for long-term success because they learn to act despite challenges, setbacks, or a lack of immediate rewards. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with discipline is the desire for instant gratification. Society promotes the idea that pleasure and comfort should be immediate. Fast food, entertainment, social media, and endless distractions create an environment where people seek quick rewards instead of long-term benefits. The problem with this mindset is that meaningful success takes time, effort, and patience, whether it is building a career, improving health, or mastering a skill. Real progress is not instant. Discipline is the ability to delay gratification and focus on long-term goals instead of short-term pleasures. It requires choosing hard work over convenience, persistence over excuses, and consistency over comfort. Developing discipline starts with small daily actions. Many people try to change their entire lives overnight, but radical change is rarely sustainable. The key is to start with manageable commitments and build from there. A person who wants to wake up earlier should not immediately attempt to shift their schedule by hours. Instead, they can start by waking up 15 minutes earlier each day until the new habit becomes natural. Small, consistent actions compound over time, creating a disciplined lifestyle. Discipline is not about dramatic transformations, but about steady progress that becomes part of a person's identity. Many people struggle with discipline because they wait until they feel like taking action. They tell themselves they will start working out when they feel motivated, begin studying when the time is right, or take action when they are in the right mood. The problem with this approach is that feelings are unreliable. Discipline means acting regardless of emotions. A person does not need to feel motivated to go to the gym. They simply need to go. A writer does not need to feel inspired to write. They just need to sit down and start typing. Waiting for the right mood is a trap that keeps people stuck in inaction. Those who develop discipline learn to act first and let motivation follow. Another critical aspect of discipline is structure. Many people fail to stay consistent because they do not have a clear system in place. They rely on willpower alone, but willpower is limited. Structure removes the need for constant decision making and makes discipline automatic. Creating a schedule, setting routines, and eliminating distractions all help to make disciplined action easier. For example, a person who wants to eat healthier can prepare meals in advance so they do not have to make difficult food choices throughout the day. A student who wants to study consistently can create a dedicated study time and location to minimize distractions. The more structured a person's environment is, the easier it becomes to stay disciplined. One of the biggest challenges to discipline is the presence of excuses. Many people justify inaction with logical sounding reasons. They convince themselves they are too tired, too busy, or not ready to start. But every excuse reinforces the habit of avoidance. Discipline means pushing through discomfort and taking action despite resistance. The most successful people do not have fewer challenges than others. They simply refuse to let challenges become excuses. They find ways to adapt, adjust, and keep going even when circumstances are not ideal. Discipline also requires self-awareness. Many people fail to stay consistent because they do not recognize their own patterns of procrastination and avoidance. They repeat the same mistakes, fall into the same distractions, and wonder why they are not making progress. Self-awareness allows a person to identify their weak points and create strategies to overcome them. If social media is a constant distraction, they can set limits on their usage. If they struggle with morning productivity, they can create an evening routine that sets them up for success. Understanding personal triggers and obstacles allows a person to take control and build a disciplined mindset. Another important aspect of discipline is accountability. Many people struggle to stay on track because they only answer to themselves. When no one is watching, it is easy to skip a workout, delay an important task, or break a commitment. Having external accountability increases the likelihood of follow-through. This can come in the form of a mentor, a coach, a friend, or even a written commitment. Sharing goals with someone else creates psychological pressure to stay consistent. Knowing that someone else is paying attention increases the likelihood of disciplined behavior. A disciplined mindset also involves embracing discomfort. Many people avoid difficult tasks because they associate discomfort with failure. But growth only happens through challenge and adversity. Those who develop discipline learn to see discomfort as a necessary part of progress. They understand that pushing through difficult moments builds mental toughness and resilience. Whether it is facing rejection, enduring physical strain, or overcoming fear, discipline requires stepping outside of comfort zones. The more a person embraces discomfort, the easier it becomes to handle challenges in the future. Another key factor in discipline is developing strong habits. Motivation fades, willpower depletes, but habits create lasting change. A person who builds the habit of exercising daily does not need to think about whether they will work out. It becomes automatic. A person who develops the habit of reading consistently does not struggle to stay engaged. It becomes part of their routine. The most successful individuals are not those who rely on bursts of motivation, but those who cultivate habits that align with their long-term goals. Discipline is also about mindset. Many people fail to stay disciplined because they see themselves as undisciplined. They believe they lack willpower, or that discipline is something only certain people have, but discipline is not an innate trait. It is a skill that can be developed. The way a person talks to themselves influences their ability to stay consistent. Instead of saying, I'm bad at staying disciplined, they can reframe their mindset to, I am someone who follows through on commitments. Identity shapes behavior. When a person starts to see themselves as disciplined, their actions begin to align with that belief. One of the greatest benefits of discipline is the freedom it creates. Many people believe discipline is restrictive, that it limits enjoyment and makes life rigid. but the opposite is true. Discipline allows a person to achieve goals, create stability, and gain control over their time and choices. A disciplined person is not at the mercy of impulses, distractions, or external circumstances. They are in control of their life, their progress, and their future. Resilience is one of the most crucial traits a person can develop in order to navigate life's challenges and uncertainties. Many people expect life to be fair, predictable, or easy, but reality does not work that way. Everyone encounters difficulties, setbacks, failures, losses, disappointments. The difference between those who succeed and those who remain stuck is not the absence of hardship, but the ability to push through it. Resilience is the capacity to withstand pressure, recover from setbacks, and keep moving forward despite obstacles. It is not about avoiding pain, but about developing the strength to endure it and emerge stronger. One of the key aspects of resilience is accepting that suffering is inevitable. Many people waste time and energy resisting hardship, complaining about how unfair life is, or wishing things were different. But struggle is part of the human experience. Avoiding discomfort only prolongs suffering. Those who cultivate resilience do not ask why challenges happen to them. They ask how they can adapt and overcome. They recognize that life is unpredictable and that adversity is not a personal attack, but a test of strength. By shifting their mindset from victimhood to problem solving, they take control of their response instead of being controlled by circumstances. Resilience also comes from the ability to regulate emotions. Many people allow their emotions to dictate their actions, reacting impulsively to difficulties rather than responding with clarity. When faced with failure, rejection, or disappointment, it is natural to feel frustration, sadness, or anger. But resilient individuals do not allow emotions to paralyze them. They acknowledge their feelings, but they do not let emotions drive their decisions. They understand that emotions are temporary, and instead of getting stuck in negativity, they focus on the actions they can take to move forward. Developing emotional control prevents temporary setbacks from turning into permanent obstacles. Another important factor in resilience is perspective. People who struggle to bounce back from difficulties often have a distorted way of viewing challenges. They see setbacks as proof that they are incapable, unlucky, or doomed to fail. But resilient individuals understand that failure is not final. They recognize that challenges are opportunities to learn, grow, and refine their skills. They do not define themselves by their struggles, but by how they respond to them. When faced with difficulty, they ask themselves what lessons can be learned, what adjustments need to be made, and what strengths can be developed. This mindset shift transforms obstacles into stepping stones rather than roadblocks. A strong sense of purpose also strengthens resilience. Many people give up in the face of hardship because they lack a clear reason to keep going. Without a meaningful purpose, challenges feel overwhelming and pointless. But those who have a strong why behind their actions are more likely to persevere. They understand that setbacks are temporary and that giving up means abandoning something important. Purpose gives resilience a foundation, a reason to push through discomfort and keep striving for improvement. People who know what they are working toward are less likely to let failures derail them. Resilience is also built through exposure to challenges. Many people avoid hardship at all costs, staying within their comfort zones and seeking only ease and security. But avoiding struggle does not build strength, it creates fragility. Just as muscles grow through resistance, resilience develops through facing and overcoming difficulties. Every time a person pushes through a tough situation, they build mental toughness. They prove to themselves that they can handle discomfort, uncertainty, and failure. Over time, this process creates confidence and self-trust, making future challenges easier to navigate. Those who avoid hardship remain unprepared for life's inevitable difficulties, while those who embrace challenges develop the capacity to handle anything. Another important aspect of resilience is adaptability. Many people struggle when things do not go according to plan. They become frustrated when circumstances change, when obstacles arise, or when unexpected difficulties disrupt their progress. But resilience requires flexibility. Life is unpredictable, and rigid thinking leads to frustration and failure. Resilient individuals do not resist change. They adapt to it. They recognize when a plan is not working, make necessary adjustments, and keep moving forward. Adaptability allows them to maintain progress even when conditions shift. Instead of seeing change as a threat, they view it as an opportunity for growth. One of the biggest enemies of resilience is self-pity. When faced with adversity, many people fall into the trap of feeling sorry for themselves, believing that their struggles are worse than anyone else's. Self-pity does nothing but reinforce helplessness. Resilient individuals do not waste time dwelling on how unfair things are. They acknowledge their struggles, but refuse to let hardship define them. Instead of asking, why me? They ask, what can I do about this? They take responsibility for their responses and focus on solutions rather than dwelling on problems. Resilience is also reinforced by strong support systems. While personal strength is important, no one succeeds alone. Many people struggle to cope with difficulties because they try to handle everything by themselves. But resilient individuals understand the value of seeking support, learning from mentors, and surrounding themselves with people who encourage growth. They do not see asking for help as a weakness, but as a strategic move toward overcoming challenges. Having a strong network of support provides encouragement, perspective, and guidance, making it easier to navigate tough times. Another key element of resilience is self-discipline. Many people allow temporary emotions to dictate their actions, giving up when things become difficult. But those who are disciplined push forward even when motivation fades. They understand that perseverance is not about feeling like continuing. It is about choosing to continue regardless of feelings. Discipline ensures that setbacks do not lead to inaction. It keeps a person moving forward even when progress is slow, even when results are not immediate, and even when obstacles seem overwhelming. Resilient individuals also develop a sense of gratitude. It is easy to focus on what is going wrong, to dwell on failures and disappointments, but gratitude shifts attention to what is still good, what is still possible, and what strengths can be used to move forward. Even in the midst of difficulty, there are always things to be grateful for: lessons learned, relationships that provide support, opportunities that still exist. Gratitude does not eliminate hardship, but it prevents negativity from taking over. It provides a sense of perspective, allowing people to see that struggles do not define their entire existence. Another crucial factor in resilience is a long-term mindset. Many people become discouraged because they expect immediate success, instant results, or quick solutions. When things do not happen as fast as they hoped, they feel defeated. But resilience requires patience. Progress takes time, and setbacks are part of the process. Resilient individuals do not measure success based on short-term outcomes, but on long-term growth. They understand that failure today does not mean failure forever. They stay committed to their goals, knowing that persistence eventually leads to breakthroughs. Resilience is not about avoiding pain, failure, or difficulty. It is about developing the mental toughness to endure challenges, learn from setbacks, and keep moving forward. It is about understanding that life will not always be easy, but that strength is built through struggle. It is about taking responsibility for one's own mindset, choosing to adapt instead of giving up, and embracing discomfort as a necessary part of growth. Those who cultivate resilience do not see obstacles as permanent. They see them as temporary challenges that can be overcome through perseverance, discipline, and a refusal to quit.